everyone. Ashley here, chiming in from San Francisco. Happy Friday, and as always, thank you for joining our weekly Twitter space. Menthol Protocol has been quite busy this month. As we mentioned in our last space, we are ramping up our beta launch, creating demo videos, and our tech, marketing, and sales teams are also hard at work. Last week, we had a terrific Twitter space with the amazing Evan Luthra. He touched on some amazing topics and his admiration for Menthol Protocol's vision and mission. Amir represented Menthol in an AMA with our new partner, LandX. We opened up our cool pool whitelist and generated some thoughtful and very insightful Medium articles, not to mention the around-the-clock work that our tech team has been committed to. On today's agenda, Amir will introduce our Web3 guardians and touch on other pertinent topics. Once more, please continue to follow us here on Twitter and our other socials to receive updates as we progress through our beta launch process, new partnerships, and new content. As always, thank you everyone for joining us on our journey. Let's get into it. Hello, Amir, chiming in from New York.
Hello, Ashley. Thanks a lot for the lovely intro, as always. Today is a very exciting Twitter space. I'm looking forward to our guests next to Mo, our CTO, who has already been in our second or third Twitter space. We've got Jaden, who just joined our Twitter space. So we had the pleasure, as Ashley mentioned, of just New York, also for the Climate Week next week, but had the pleasure of meeting Jaden actually just 2 days ago. We had such amazing talks, and I was super inspired. Very happy to have him on board in today's Twitter space. So for today's agenda, after introducing the guests and also asking what journey has been taking them into space and Web3, so how was the journey like? We will give a small overview of Menthol Protocol and our beta phase, and then we'll come to this interesting topic of the Web3 guardians. We simply mean here the players which allow decentral business models to occur. So we want to talk about those Web3 guardians from our perspective. Who are they and why? That's like a small intro from my side. So I'd just love to open up the stage and welcome Jaden. Thanks a lot for jumping in. I think we still have to invite you as a speaker. So I hope you're joining via phone. That's always the easiest. Via the laptop, that's difficult. So if you join via the phone, and on the left bottom side, you'll find a request button, which will allow you to join. Oh, there you are already as a speaker. You'll just have to unmute and we're good to go.
Awesome. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, loud and clear.
Awesome. Hey, Amir, thank you for having me. It's been a blast meeting you and spending a little bit of time. And I'm excited to get to know more about Menthol's approach and everything you guys are doing.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. So before we start with the first question, where we would love to learn about your journey, you've got a fascinating career and are doing inspiring things. So before that, I would love to welcome Mo to the stage. Hello, Mo.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I feel like, I had an urge to go into like a Prince of Bel-Air. Let me tell you all about how, but I didn't, but I controlled myself. It's not the Twitter space, but my name is Mo, CTO and co-founder of Menthol and Block. See, I really don't like, to be honest, talking about myself. I was watching this, this is pop, kind of like docuseries about music, and Swedish people apparently don't like complimenting themselves. So I was like, oh yeah, that's me, totally. So I'll just give you the highlights. Founded 2 companies, VC-backed companies, love anime, aerospace engineer, and also software engineer, graduate. If you want to learn more and see my accolades, I guess you can go on my LinkedIn.
Thanks a lot, Mo. No, I'll take it away from you. Mo is an amazing, partner to have in crime, in decarbonizing Web3. He's thought leader of the cool pools of Menthol protocol, and such a pleasure to learn and grow within this team. So a few charming words for you, Mo, for your Swedish soul.
Thank you.
Awesome. So also, like, I love this match of Jaden and Mo both being in aerospace and in Web3. So from the fields of expertise, that's amazing. And actually, Jaden, you being the star of our guest, it would be great to hear about your journey. Like, please share that with us. How did you get into all of those amazing things you're doing, from, I know, real estate to space and Web3? So would love to hear about also what inspires you to this journey. And happy to hear that.
Yeah, awesome. Well, Mo, thank you for planting that stupid song in my head. So it's going to be ringing as we do this from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. So, thank you for that. But beyond that, so my journey began when somebody sent me Satoshi Nakamoto's paper and said, hey, make some heads or tails out of this. And that was 12 years ago. And when I went through the paper, it was nice. I gave the person the insights that I gleaned from it, and he really didn't do anything about it. But for me, it was less about Bitcoin and more about decentrality and its impact on society, because it was the equivalent in my mind of how the internet was eliminating the middleman on a surface level. Decentrality effectively eliminates the middleman on a deeper, in a deeper way, where it creates a trustless society where trust is evaporated as a component of all elements of humanity's interactions. So that kept me intrigued, and then I sought out like-minded people. Back then, the space was definitely not as sexy as it is today and never garnered the attention. It was actually more of a space where you were shunned if you were in it, especially because I have a Wall Street background. I was a Wall Street mathematician for a bit. And, so it was not the happy, awesome place to be that it is today. So, I stuck with it for the duration. And in 2017, I was pushed to speak. So I started speaking about different elements of crypto, and it's been a very enlightening journey as to how it deeply affects people. You see the euphoria in crypto from newbies that come in, and they're coming in from every angle. So that's a good thing. I have not seen another industry where people are inspired by things other than money. It's nice to have money taken care of, but all the other elements that come in for people's enthusiasm is what is very, very inspiring, and a motivation to stay in. I mean, a lot of the people who were early in this space have actually left the space. They downsized their footprint and are just living, I guess, la dolce vita. But the thing is that the space, as it morphs and becomes the fruition of everything we hoped for, and much, much more in the new directions that it's going, requires like a ship that requires a sail, and a rudder. So this is the future of crypto, where we all coalesce, come together, and everybody's thoughts count. So it's fun and inspiring to be a part of that conversation. And it yields amazing projects where people are inspired to help humanity as a primary goal, with money being a secondary one. So yeah, that's somewhat of the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say a lot of times a lot of people come for the money, but then they hear the story of 10,000 Bitcoins. Somebody spent 10,000 Bitcoin to get a pizza back in the day, and whatever it's worth, on $20 million. That's like always people get in because of this kind of like hype. But once you kind of like dig deeper, you always find something to catch you. Like whether it's the tech, whether it's the kind of like the like you mentioned, centralization, the trustlessness, the coordination possibilities because everybody's working on one single layer of truth, or at least within one blockchain network, that's one single layer of truth. And as well as on the social side, like more and more, I'm actually getting more intrigued on social dynamics, like how to build communities, how to, work together as a whole, as different kind of like agents or actors in the system. How do we work together and actually create like a net positive outcome for everybody individually and also the whole system or ecosystem at large? So I'm seeing more and more like how some of the concepts that come into crypto can actually affect us at a societal level, and I'm getting really, really intrigued with that as well. I think money, it definitely was something that that's always in the news, like DeFi, market cap and so on. And that's something that also got me involved in the beginning. I built a trading bot early on that was hooked up to like Twitter APIs and sniping what's it called John McAfee's tweets, and I think I earned a decent amount that month. It was kind of ridiculous, although I did lose it in the following crypto winter. I think it was like 100K in a month, but then I think it was another year of just 90% loss. So yeah, both amazing, and actually it was amazing to see that you could code something pretty simple, connect to like market API, Twitter API, sentiment analysis, and then you can actually get pretty strong results from very basic strategies. And since then, I think that's kind of like what pulled me in to kind of like the tech side of it, more than the economic side.
That's a lovely input, guys. So I also had the pleasure, Mo, I was chilling with John McAfee on his boat, right? While you were sniping him. Ended up on Netflix. Funny story for another time. The interesting aspect, which I think all of us saw, is there's so many fields of application for this technology. There's so many ways of mobilizing, let's say, new dynamic structures with community-driven engagement. We've got innovation, we've got public good. So such an exciting topic to talk in an interdisciplinary manner. So I'm sure for like one of the following Twitter spaces, we'll talk about Web3 and space, as you've got two experts over here. With Menthol Protocol and our vision, we're talking about Web3 and climate action. So this is a very, I think, important topic to all of us. The lovely thing is that actually Web3 and climate action can catalyze each other, that they can spread mass adoption for Web3, but also for climate action. And this is what Menthol Protocol is basically about. If it's okay, I'm just looking at the time, we've got 30 past. So I can take 2-3 minutes for the new listeners who are tuning in and give a high-level overview of Menthol Protocol and also our beta phase. I would take the time, and then we can delve into the different Web3 projects which fascinate us, why we believe that they contribute in a value-bringing way to the world. So if that's okay, I'll go ahead with the Menthol Protocol pitch. No objections, so I'll give it a start. Awesome. So we actually just drafted this version yesterday, so I'll be walking through a few lines which we were sharing in the call. So Menthol Protocol's vision is to turn climate crisis into climate action while assuring that ecological and social regeneration will be accessible, affordable, and integrated into everybody's life seamlessly. Through the tokenization of the carbon offsetting market in particular, a wave of tokenizers of ecological and social impact tokens are making, for instance, carbon credits into programmable units, which can be integrated into automation solutions and into any actually product bundle offering you have out there. You can integrate now carbon credits or other ecological impact tokens or social impact tokens. Exciting thing what Web3 enables. Menthol Protocol is an open source public good offering, therefore, automated regeneration as a service based on this programmable impact token starting with carbon credits. and evolving from this regeneration as a service solution to a corporate or community social responsibility as a service tool, empowering everyone to be part of the solution of a truly regenerative tomorrow. Mental Protocol's mission is to empower. Now we're talking a little bit more about what we actually do. So Mental Protocol's mission is to empower every individual, community, and organization to compensate for their historical carbon footprint, as well as automate the overcompensation of their future emissions. Hereby, next to climate action, climate transparency, and climate incentivization are a second and third important pillar of Mental's solution ecosystem. Mental Protocol will act as a search engine, eventually showing any... Sorry, I just got a call, which I pressed away. The Mental Protocol will act as a search engine, eventually showing any organization in Web3 and non-Web3 in a cool pool with its carbon footprint and positive climate action, transparently within a cool leaderboard, showing the most climate positive projects at the top and the least climate positive projects at the bottom. Hereby, we've got different dimensions. How many carbon credits are in that cool pool? How decentralized is it? Are there 1,000 people? We're thinking of like having, inspired by Gitcoin, some kind of cool supportive funding mechanisms. 1,000 people contribute to cool pool. We'll like also help fund this cool pool. So so the same solution we'll be offering to individuals and communities of the Web3 and non-Web3 world, the school leaderboard thing. So we will heavily incentivize and celebrate the climate leaders. This is our third pillar. Next to climate action, transparency, we've got climate incentivization to celebrate the climate leaders and support in guiding the industries and individuals into an equilibrium with Mother Earth. Sorry for not pronouncing it so nicely. So I've still got like a few, 2-3 more packages, like paragraphs to read, but I don't want to bore you. I think it's already took some.
I'm convinced. How do I invest? I'm convinced. Let's do it.
Yeah,
let's do it.
No. We'll do it. We'll do it. And how are we going to do it? How are we going to do it? We're starting our beta phase with a permissioned system. That means we'll empower, early users to create cool pools in our like guided growth system. So, Jaden, it would be an awesome pleasure for us to have you as one of the early users. We have basically we talked about our stakeholders. We've got our refi suppliers. We will be whitelisting cool pools. We'll be able to create cool pools. We'll have L1s and also dApps. We'll be able to create cool pools early on. And of course, amazing influencers, speakers, KOLs, such as you are, Jaden. So stay tuned for that. Next week, you'll be able to apply via the form, but we will happily take your info. We just basically need the wallet address and that.
So just to sum up, imagine that your project or application or your real world, activity is like this Power Ranger, right? The full form. And now you just want this kind of like plug and play, like super powered green sword, right? And that's what Menthol does. It makes you like, it just plug and play, embed sustainability right into it. Whatever you're doing, you don't even need to like do anything. It's super simple. Like we'll fly the Power Rangers green sword ship thing to you. Like, nope, don't worry about it. So that's kind of like what we're doing. That's plug and play and embed sustainability into to basically anything and everything. That's kind of like what we want to do. First, we're going to think about on-chain stuff, and then hopefully sustainability will be part of the DNA in everything we do.
And that actually brings us to the next point, right? You touched the decarbonization of Web3 as our short-term vision. So Web3 guardians, as mentioned at the beginning, are like in our discussion over here, projects which allow decentralization to happen. So I'd love to hear from Jaden and from Mo, who are your Web3 guardians, who you see as fundamental for this insane Web3 world, and going one level deeper, the refi world based on this. So I'll just give you like a small sorry?
Why don't you go first, Jaden, because alphabetically your name is before mine.
Oh, there you go. I was hoping to go second because I was gonna actually flip it.
I can go first.
No.
I can go first. I'd love to do that.
Oh, go for it, Amir. Go for it.
I'll just give one or maybe two as a small starter. So we've got we are specifically not using Bitcoin here in our Mental Protocol solution, but we are in the Web3 world, we understand that there's like one very strong pillar there, which actually created this whole financial system existing on the digital sphere, which basically is underlying all other financial systems in crypto. So therefore, Bitcoin is a very important move over here. Bitcoin inspired me to join, frankly, the crypto world. I think as all of us, next to Bitcoin providing this financial layer.
Bitcoin is the OG, right? I totally agree.
Like nothing else to say to that. So that's why here Web3 Guardian, Bitcoin, Ahoy. And the second one, I would say Ethereum. Very easy. All of the transitioning from only storing financial data on the decentral ledger to a decentral computer and a public good machine, right? There are so many products coming out there. I think that's just crazy and inspiring. Like all building on this financial, let's say, leverage coming from Bitcoin. But Jaden, that's like my handover to you. So those are like two prominent players away, but I'm sure you also have some on your mind. Play an important role.
Yeah, I think there's many protocols that are playing a substantial role. I mean, just not in any particular order, but Algorand, Polygon, Near are standouts. And what gets me more excited, and I agree with you on Bitcoin and Ethereum, so that rounds out 5. The two points. One is that in this space moves so fast and morphs so fast that it's hard actually to go beyond a list of top 5, because things are changing so fast that today's potential player can be something that's no more the relevant one tomorrow. It may still be great, but it may not remain as relevant. So that's a constricting factor for anybody to have legacy status like Bitcoin and Ethereum now enjoy. But beyond that, I'm excited about some of the protocols that are coming online that are Web3 specific. So those, they're still in development. Some are pre-launch, and those are going to be amazing because they're going to be specifically catered to Web3 developers versus all of these others are actually tweaking to Web3. So that difference may make all the difference in the world. So that's something that excites me, what's coming down the pipeline for Web3 specific protocols.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. And a lovely hand over to Menthol Protocol, a public good, exactly living up to this very deep-rooted decentralization at core and being a stable, secure public good. But Mo, I don't want to steal it away from you. What are your Web3 guardians you want to share with us?
I mean, technically, the host Menthol is before me, right? So why don't we hear from the host, like alphabetically? I mean, Menthol.
Ashley.
I think that's for you. I have more of a question for Jaden and your what are your feelings and thought with the merge and how it affects Web3 as a whole?
Oh yeah, that's also a great topic.
That's a good question. So I mean, I've for years maintained a mining operation, and the mining operation is GPU based. And we moved it off-site from the United States for electricity purposes. I'm not an active miner anymore. I'm more of a silent partner. But yeah, so Ethereum is the coin that you mine as a GPU miner, and then you convert to other coins. So when you hear a GPU miner saying, I'm mining ADA or Raven coin or whatever, it's actually Ethereum mining, which is converted on the back end to some of these other coins. So, from that perspective, miners are going to be impacted, but whole and soul, I think the merger facilitates us to many things, and in no particular order. One thing is the narrative, because the narrative has been suffering that crypto is not eco-friendly. So by having Ethereum, which is the second biggest outside of Bitcoin, switching over, that takes away that jab from non-crypto people that always throw that in our face. So that's a big narrative change. And crypto's still early. Crypto is a $1 trillion industry. By CIA estimates, the amount of money in the world economy is approximately 375 trillion, especially with today's inflated valuations. So when you think about that, Bitcoin, blockchain, crypto space is not that big at all. So it still has a ways to go, which means a majority of humanity may have heard of it, but have not engaged with it. So believe it or not, we're all still early, and this space is still in its nascency. So that means with a narrative change out like that, it makes it easier for people to even onboard more readily, because they're no longer brainwashed by the narrative that, oh, it's not eco-friendly. The other ramifications that I see is now everybody's going to look at Bitcoin with introspective eyes, which is that, okay, well, here's the granddaddy, and the granddaddy is not eco-friendly. And exactly what purpose does it serve other than the role of being granddaddy? Ethereum supports a lot of other, companies in the space as a protocol, but Bitcoin serves a singular, actually three purposes. We don't have to go into what those are, but the point is usability and what you can do with it. So Ethereum changeout is actually, I think, more valuable than if Bitcoin somehow changed out to proof of stake rather than proof of work, because Ethereum has a very active role. If this was a chessboard, Bitcoin would be king and Ethereum would be the queen piece. So the queen piece is very active, very powerful, while the king just makes slow moves. So if you can understand that analogy, you can recognize what the dynamic is of the importance of Ethereum's changeover and how it affects everything going forward, I believe, in a positive way.
Aiden, just one question. What would you say is Dogecoin on the chessboard?
Dogecoin is interesting. Good question. Dogecoin is the piece on the board that actually is not on the board, and that's of the court jester.
Amazing. That's good. That's a good answer.
But it shows this whole principle, this whole community-driven principle works without like the, let's say, deeper integration. So that's like the cool thing.
One mind-blowing fact that I remember recalling was that Dogecoin, after Ethereum went proof of stake, Dogecoin became the second largest proof of work network. Like, for me, that was like mind-blowing.
Funny. Like, actually, like, before we jump more into the Web3 guidance, I have to jump into one of the important points Jaden brought in. So just because it's so important for Menthol protocol and our mission over here. So we've got the climate crisis. We know that this is the world threatening crisis by far. There's a two-step approach to solve it. First step is to reduce the carbon footprint by over 90% through new processes, innovations, and thoughtful consumption, especially B2B, especially the industries have to lead here. And this swift shift to proof of stake, jumping down 99%, if you take Ethereum, looking at the Ethereum industry. This is like a first step and very important step, making Web3 leading in climate action. The next point, and this is where we come in, it's a golden hour. We have little time before everything could collapse in a bad way, right? That's the cascade effects of the climate crisis, which we are afraid of. So acting in this golden hour, it's important for the second step to occur, which is healing our economic system and integrating Mother Earth into it by accounting for the non-avoidable emissions, the remaining, even if it's 1%, and offsetting it through the, for example, mechanisms of carbon offsetting market, which is being currently tokenized in this very wonderful way. So I just wanted to point this shift of Ethereum, and also like the second job of Ethereum, compensating their historic carbon footprint, which would already require more carbon credits than they are tokenized. But yeah, this is just a very important step to accelerate climate action. So very sorry for this hard cut over here. I'll hand over to Mo. So I'd love to hear what your Web3 gardens are next to Dogecoin.
All right. So you guys took all my answers. Damn, Bitcoin, Ether, okay. So, but I mean, to be honest, I have to shout out Consensus. they were like in the very beginning, my initial foray into like Web3. I applied for like their blockchain developer bootcamp. I applied for the scholarship, from Somalia, and it wasn't cheap. So I applied for it, and I was one of the 100 people who got it, which was kind of like crazy because I learned a lot from that program, met people from MetaMask, Infura. Then a few months after I graduated, I applied for their accelerator program there, and they only take like 10 companies. We applied with another company, not Menthol, a few years ago, back in 2018. And yeah, I joined their accelerator program. And that was for me like, consensus basically, and everybody in, different teams that we met, the consensus mesh, amazing. And couldn't imagine a better, more comfy journey into to like blockchain and Web3. Other than that, I mean, I can go category based. Infra wise, I love Chainlink, Rocket, Scale. Of course, Infura's impact is great. MetaMask as well. In terms of DeFi, I love Aave, Compound Curve, Uni, like things that like really important tech, like innovators. I love what they're doing. It's Centrifuge as well. I love what they're doing in the microfinance area. Ecosystem-wise, of course, ETH is crazy, awesome. Polkadot is, they have a really, really tight-knit community. We met a couple of them during our Berkeley Blockchain Accelerator, our time there. We met the people from Akala. Energy Web Chain as well, our first company's validator there. And I'm part of the community grant committee. Regen, of course, Near. Yeah, I think you mentioned Near, Jaden. They're amazing. Like they're like all like algorithmic math champions and Olympiad gold winners in maths and crazy stuff. But like all Russian/German geniuses, like they're crazy. So meeting them was awesome. Like I think that right when they were just lifting off their ecosystem push and they wanted to like onboard our first company, like they were just awesome. I loved what they were doing too. Yeah, so that's like awesome. Yeah, tech side, but Dogecoin forever my love. Not, yeah.
Nice. No, lovely, Mo. Thanks for this like shout out and also touching the different categories, because that's indeed what makes Web3 so special. We started with Bitcoin, going over to Ethereum, the decentral computer, then having a wave of DeFi on top of that, really like replacing bank functions of third parties through protocols. So living up to Nick Szabo dream of, let's say, smart contracts, mathematically proven algorithms, replacing important third parties and taking like power leverage away from them. So next to the DeFi, we've got NFTs, metaverse. There's also some place which we are looking forward to introduce over here. And then, of course, ReFi, regenerative finance. All of the projects are huge Web3 guardians because they're they're shifting the narrative, as Jaden explained. And the promise of Web3 and climate is huge. So definitely a Web3 guardian. Fire.org, Fire Chain, amazing proof of fire blockchain. Dr. Vilma Matilla, very successful, also entrepreneur, like 2 unicorns. She already, I think, she co-founded and invested in many companies. She's also looking at Menthol protocol with very close eyes. So, Jaden, do you have like after our spill any Web3 projects which came to your mind in between you'd like to shout out to? I think the company a lot.
We're gonna do this forever. We're just gonna go in circles until we mention all of it.
We're 4 minutes.
This is actually Dapperado. We're actually building our database. Okay.
I will just sharing an Excel spreadsheet with all of the companies on it. That way we don't even have to go through it.
I think round one Excel sheet. Thank you.
We need this Excel sheet because we'll create cool tools in this order. So eventually every project will find itself. That's the priority. So become our power user, Jaden.
You know, internally, we keep in the office an Excel spreadsheet highlighting all of the companies that we're tracking. And somehow this conversation makes me think that that list was for like, no, I didn't realize that there was revenue attached to that spreadsheet. It was just an internal thing. But I wanna touch on something which is important, which is that there are no metaverses if there isn't a stable physiverse. So that being said, we need to recognize that these are not independent equations. They're all connected.
Can you enlighten us a little bit? So for our maybe Wi-Fi listeners who are not that well versed in the Web3 world, can you explain that? I know you give amazing talks also. I've also tuned in to your thoughts on Web 4.0 and Web 5.0 after you shared those insights with me at the diner 2 days ago. But what is this, what you were mentioning? What is very important for the metaverse?
Yeah, so look, metaverses are basically explorations of our mind. I mean, they don't exist. They only exist because of a common understanding between humans, which are actively sentient nodes on this planet. That's what we are. We like to think we're this, our meat suit or whatever, but we are just sentient nodes on this floating rock in space. So that being said, sentient nodes have a purpose. Mother Earth didn't create us for just happenstance, created us for a purpose. And that purpose may be to not just equate a better environment and be the stewards of this planet, but as well as for the space beyond this planet, perhaps other terrestrialities as well. So metaverses being an engagement of our mind and hence infinite, and hence why there's so much economic opportunity in there, because it's infinite, not limited by natural resources. It also begs that the physiverse, which is our planet, if it's in turmoil, we will be in turmoil. And if we're in turmoil, we can engage in exercises of the mind while our house is on fire. So, and our house is, for all intents and purposes, on fire. I traveled different parts of the world speaking, and from Spain to California to parts unknown around the world, there are fires that are running rampant and they're just burning. They are not going away, and it's the most unprecedented fires, and they just don't subside. So our planet is literally burning. It's just that the human condition facilitates a very localized set of understandings. Otherwise, our brain would go crazy. So if you're in, like Amir, you and I are in New York. So for our mind to encapsulate the environment, we just think about whatever's happening here. So we cannot relate to what's happening in California or halfway around the world. But that doesn't mean that negative, terrible things aren't happening. None of us are focused on the artificial continent that we've created in the Pacific of garbage, because we're not engaged with it. So yes, we may discuss it for a millisecond or two, but then we move beyond it. But this is the challenge, that your physical space has to be stabilized. Otherwise, your engagements of the mind will be impacted. And so the tie-in between bringing in Web3, in metaverse engagement, and in all the ways decentrality can help us, will translate into a better physiverse for our future growth in the metaverse. So there is no isolated. Humanity tends to compartmentalize everything. There is no isolation. All of these are basically a giant quilt. And these quilt patches are, say, Web3, say, finance, even traditional finance, the industries that produce stuff, oil and energy, all of these space, they are in that quilt that comforts and clothes humanity. And if humanity chooses to let a few rips in that quilt go untaken care of, if you will, then you're going to suffer the consequences. You will wake up with a fever yourself if your quilt has holes. So I think the smarter minds within blockchain, and I do feel some of the brightest minds. We've grown up with the phrase, well, I'm not a rocket scientist, you know.
You know what? I was waiting for it.
Right.
I was
And
waiting for it.
yeah, so we've grown up with that phrase, but I would challenge that people within blockchain, rocket scientists are awesome, nothing to take away from there. I'm in the space industry, would get my butt kicked if I said anything negative about rocket scientists or engineering. But that's not the point here. The point here is that I feel blockchain brings so much intellectual prowess to the equation of humanity's strife and humanity's aspirations for a better future and a more empowering future for the masses, that this is where the dialogue is. So I would rather we create a new phraseology which says that I'm not a crypto advocate, like to claim the title of geniuses. I truly believe some of the more benevolent geniuses lie within this space. So we if anybody can help us solve some of the grander challenges that humanity faces, it will be this community.
This is so awesome. Thanks a lot, Jaden, for sharing that. Like, you're touching this very important point, which is actually this emerging impact token. So we've got call to actions to make the world a better place. Those can be different actions, like in form of carbon credits, or even maybe spending hours of getting rid of this huge garbage pile in the middle of the ocean. So those are positive call to actions which can be tokenized basically into programmable units and integrated into every product bundle. So I really, I think it's such an exciting time. And as you like, it's not only the people, it's also the tech and the whole infrastructure which allows Web3 to step up and actually our crypto and tackle climate crisis for an example. So thanks a lot for sharing among those many points also this very important fact. Lovely bridge. A small shout out to our listeners. Also decentralized Rob, I also saw you join in the last Twitter space of ours. Shout out to Future Quest. Then we've got our lovely Daniel over here, community lead. Mert, our success master, you can say. He comes and cleans up our processes, makes our agendas better, brings corporate professionalism into our startup. We've got Erdem, we've got Dennis, two tech warriors at the front. We've got Munir, my dad and business partner in crime. So just wanted to shout out to everybody. Mo, I know you want to have we are like taking it a little bit longer in this Twitter space, but I love it. So we can make the hour full, talk a little bit more, also close in the next minutes as you wish. Mo.
No, I'm loving it. Jade, you gave me a trip, man. I don't know what you're having. I want some of that, man. When you said quilt, I was like, wait a second, Wheel of Time style things, like we're all part of the patchwork. This quilt is like, there's no seam, there's no tears, everything is connected with everything. I was like, wait a second, okay. Yeah, I mean, the way you tied everything in, like, the way that, you've got metaverses and how that's like a abstract concept that we somehow have, not only have like this mass hallucination of like millions of people who say, yeah, this thing exists, but we also ascribe value to that, and not only small amount of, a lot of value, like value beyond like prices of cars or houses. That's crazy. Like the work, some people work for like multiple generations in some places were, using it to purchase, a couple of, data storage bytes or areas on different computers running around the world. That's crazy, but it makes sense in, once you kind of like understand, like once we go, we went from like, as a society, like coins and, as this concept of like value. And now we have kind of like, we're, creating new types of value and transfer of value and social mechanisms to like organize us to ascribe value to different things. And at the same time, things that we can do automatically using kind of like, a common understanding. Before we had like the we had agreements and contracts, but enforceability was kind of tough, but now you make an agreement, that's what's going to happen. You can't bust open the smart contract like a vending machine, because they use the analogy of like the smart contract is kind of like a vending machine. In real life, you could just bust that open and take whatever you want, right? You can't really do that with a smart contract unless it has vulnerabilities, of course, or you do a 51% attack and a couple other ways. But yeah, I think it's like amazing that, we're part of this, and I love the multidisciplinary aspect to it. Like I'm coming from aerospace, you too, Jaden, and I think in finance. I'm coming from like software as well, and then it's like we people in our team, they're coming from like one person coming from like tourism, and then he got really deep as like the smartest person around the smart contract space in just a few years. We got somebody who came in from like like really high level doctorate level, like Eden, please help me. Like, you were doing cognitive sciences, but I think you focused on like creating like ontology for like medical space, like kind of trying to like do the text segmentation, stuff like that. So like we have people coming from energy like CILIM and GIS, like graphical information systems. Like this is amazing. We have we have also like people from like big oil like Miche. It's crazy. We have somebody from Department of like Homeland Security, I believe, who does a couple of projects there as well. Like, I don't know, I'm loving it. Love everybody's inputs. It's really awesome.
Mo, I wanted to touch on something a little bit deeper here, because it's important to look at the deeper impacts that have been manifesting for humanity for an extended period of time. When we were hunter-gatherers, we did not have this 4-letter word called trust. Trust is a 4-letter word, and it became a 4-letter word, and it came into definition actually post hunter-gatherer. So when we shifted to an agrarian society, another thing that happened around the same time was the Great Flood. So before that, we were hunter-gatherers, which effectively meant that we weren't running these campaigns of war and pillage. We were actually in a collaborative environment where people hunted and gathered and shared their resources, not just with the tribe, but with other people who may be entering the tribe or with other tribes. So we were collaborative. And this is the irony of it all, is that the more things change, the more they remain the same, in the sense that we are actually going back to that ethos with decentrality and everything that blockchain facilitates, back to that collaborative state. And so what happened post-flood is certain set of people who were just being birthed at that time. Those were the dominant hunters in a tribe and the spiritual leader. So you had the dominant hunter who took on the role of quote unquote king of the tribe. And then you had the spiritual leader who took control of your afterlife. So the king controlled your current life and the spiritual leader controlled your afterlife. So between the two of them, they became super dominant, and a pyramidical structure was created where they were at the top and everybody else was crushed by their self-serving mandates. And because we birthed a non-collaborative power for the few at the expense of the many, is when we birthed the concept of trust. And whether you trust somebody, whether you don't trust somebody, or trust their motivations or trust the transaction, all of this came when this power shifted from the masses to the few. And this is the reason why this trustless environment is actually harkens to the past and pays homage to our past ancestors who actually lived in that environment. If you had the DeLorean, and if you went back to the hunter-gatherer times and said, we've created this amazing technology and it's trustless, they'd look at you and laugh. And they'd say, what are you talking about? That's exactly how we live. And we've been living like that for 240,000 years of our existence. And here you come, Johnny come lately, have had a hiccup in the last 10,000 years, where you had all the power concentrated at the top, and now you created this even concept of trust. Trust was a given. And now we're actually using technology to give back to humanity what has always been its rightful ownership. So this is where we're at. This is the cyclical nature of humanity's existence, that if a wrong has been created, we eventually right the wrong. But the challenge is human conditioning. Because we've had it for 10,000 years, we equate it for 250,000 years. But that's not the case. It's just a hiccup that's occurred in the last 10,000 years, and we are going to aggressively and swiftly and unapologetically over the near future change it and give back humanity its rightful state.
So powerful and so great. And
100%.
I think like this, sorry, very short, those monarchs are like those kings you were describing. Like this system of exploiting, let's say, on the back of others has like dwelled or like developed into traditional finance, right? Money rules the world. No secret about that. And this traditional world, we talked about that, how traditional finance differs from regenerative finance, and what huge, what a kind of shift we see. But actually with the event of Bitcoin opposing this centralized financial system, we already have, let's say, the birth of what you are like just describing, back to the roots, back to decentralization. So what a wonderful input of yours. Sorry, Mo, for stealing the media spot. Please jump in.
I was going to be gushing over. Yeah, I totally agree. I think this discussion of like, I love how you brought it to like, our ancient ancestors, kind of like when they had their groups and when they had their tribe. Yeah, they didn't really need trust. They just collaborated because otherwise they would die. Like they had a common goal, and it didn't really make sense, for example, somebody to kind of like slack off in any one area, at least too much. I definitely imagine there must have been like lazy people in those days, like yeah, only walks 5 kilometers instead of 10. But compared to us, staying on our couch all day. But yeah, for me, I think as soon as the groups got bigger, then I feel like concepts of like in-group, out-groups must have been happening, because you of course love trust and want to support somebody in your in-group, and a lot of times some if you have to sacrifice your let's say your family's resources for an out group, a lot of people may not make that decision, even though that would be the more utilitarian approach. And I think the more that we the bigger we got, the more that we kind of like are interacting with people at a scale unknown. In the past, like we're able to purchase things that are made thousands of kilometers from here. We're able to coordinate with billions of people, create like this global system where we can exchange value, information. And I think that caused, like the bigger that we got, the less you trusted people, because you don't know them. You haven't interacted with them day to day. And I mean, think about it, like day to day when you're like carrying cash and you go to the store, do you remember somebody ever saying like, oh, you didn't give me a 200, and they're just clearly lying. You gave me 10. And, it's a trust thing. Like if there's no cameras around, I mean, whose word is right, unless you just went to the ATM outside right now. And there's like, they have like the serial numbers on it. Like it's all based on trust. And I've never been, gypped in my life when it comes to cash. But I always wonder, like, how does everybody just, go along with it? And I think it's because, when you see the person, it's tough to like hurt the person. But when it's like some person on a number on the monitor, it's very easy to like, scam people or to steal money from people or so on. I think with crypto, the awesome thing is it enables us to coordinate at that huge mass scale while still allowing trust to exist, and also enforcing kind of like our will, our preferences, or allowing people to make sure that whatever conditions that they put forward that is being followed. And I think, I mean, currently, I think it's, of course, we're still really, really nascent, really early. I can't even imagine how crypto will be a part of like, you know, kind of like, maybe not say crypto, but let's say kind of like the concept of centralization. I can't, and also trustlessness and distributed, like centralized networks, communicating with each other, and you know, all these amazing concepts. I would love to see like how people, companies, communities use that to kind of build new types of like systems. Because I think of it like, as a system designer, I always think of like, now we have a new tool in our toolbox that is called decentralization, trustlessness. Before, you had maybe like this, you know, you could like scale things, you know, from a technical point, you could scale your use your software, you could reach people and provide services, but a lot of the time you had to have the data and people had to trust you to sign up, and you know that you're following the laws. But now we can just, you know, do away with that for certain use cases. Not everything has to be centralized. Not everything has to be you know, trustless in nature. But we now have this as a tool to design better systems, which I think we're only at the cusp. Like, we don't really know what types of, you know, I don't know what type of like communities, ecosystem we can build. So I'm really excited about that, you know, coordination and probability.
So like, just very shortly, we've got the coordination issue of climate crisis at hand. This is at its core a coordination problem. As you rightfully said from a system perspective, and that's how I also learned what blockchain is when I was like researching it. It's a shift from an information technology to an institution technology. Institution in the sense of a set of rules, in the sense of aligning stakeholders towards a common goal. So on this trustless basis, of course, only in parts, but yeah, awesome. Love that. Maybe Jaden, do you have like, we are like soon closing the hour. I know we can go on and on and on, and I know that we'll have a few other Twitter spaces coming up. But do you have like any final thoughts? We can still continue to jam after that. But like, yeah, would you want to share with us? Like, I know you're an impactful investor in different areas. You've seen a lot of things. So yeah, lovely to hear your further thoughts over here.
Yeah. So, you know, one of the things that's in the back of all of our minds is the economic environment that we're in, which is, you know, retrenchment. The Fed has no options but to raise the interest rates, effectively engineering a recession, because we, in the US, we have only two choices. Either we allow inflation to graduate to hyperinflation and effectively destroy the dollar and destroy most components of the United States, because hyperinflation can have the propensity to do that, or we can choose to engineer a recession. So given the two, it's very easy for anybody with half a mind to recognize that we need a recession at this point. So we're going to engineer this recession, and hence with the evaporation of all of the capital that's been infused in the market, we are going to have an impact on crypto as well. But I see this as a good thing, in the sense that it allows a retrenchment and allows us to stop and go into build mode. Recessions are an opportunity to become a little bit more pensive and then be able to build better. Otherwise, you're under that constant pressure that you need to just get it out in the market. But if that pressure is taken away, you actually build far better. So it's the equivalent of an arrow. How does an arrow go further and faster? It's actually pulled back first in the bow, and then it shoots better and further. So this pulling back is the equivalent of where we are currently. We are just at the beginning of it. And then when this arrow launches, it's going to be amazing, and it'll birth everything that we have aspirations of Web3 to become. So if anybody's out there in strike mode, or, you know, stressing about the fact that we're about to have, you know, economic challenges, use it, pivot your mind, and shift it towards the build mode, and you'll build some amazing things that we will all benefit from.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. I think
you know,
please go ahead. Jump in.
Crypto came out of a recession. You know what I mean? I honestly believe without that recession, I don't know if the same impact would have been there. Like, I mean, of course, the tech is the tech. Probably, I assume the team or individual working behind it was already working in this space, was already going to release something of the kind. But I think the recession, the 2008 recession, definitely was a huge impetus to kind of like think of something new. Like, obviously, the current financial system is broken. What can we do better? And exactly what you mentioned, Jaden, it's like kind of like, things are not going right now. Maybe we don't have enough funds. Maybe we don't have enough, customers because maybe the climate is a bit, people are like penny pinching. But I think kind of like the resilient startups, the resilient founders, the resilient kind of like companies out there, they will be able to kind of like to be able to think of novel ways, things that they normally would not do because they have to compensate for the more difficult terrain, the more difficult environment. So I think when, I'm a big fan of fantasy, big fan of Dune, the book and the movie. And, you have the Freemen. They're living in this super hostile wasteland, desert, inhospitable to everybody. Literally, they have suits to capture their own water because there's no water, like that crazy. And these people are the most, they're the most like strongest, survivalistic. They are, they have a very, interesting approach to how to live their life. And I don't want to give any spoil. That's why I kind of like broke it down right now. I don't want to like hype them up more for people who are just the movie watchers. But yeah, I mean, I think where there's stress, where there's pain, there's growth. And that's something I've been thinking about these days, resilience. If you come back to your initial position, your equilibrium, you have resilience. But when you have like some stress and pain impacting it, but if you're able to grow from it, kind of like you go to the gym and work out, and you get stronger because you tear your muscle fibers. That is like resilience 2.0, or like something that's kind of like you can, it's something you can bring to your life, both as a founder, company, startup, or even like to the gym.
Awesome. Such a great input. I want to ask you guys again for a closing statement. But maybe before that, I'd just like to ask the listeners, maybe, are there questions out there? We'd love to, make you a speaker, ask your question. If not, you can also ask us offline or on different channels. But if anybody has a question, feel free to like raise your hand. I think you can also request the speaker mode. So, if that's not the case, maybe I'll just ask Ashley, do you have, I know you had a few questions. I know that the 1 hour is full. Maybe you have some thoughts for us for closing up the round.
No thoughts, Amir, but wonderful conversation. Mo, Jaden, always insightful, inspiring to say the least. Other than that, I think my only question was the merge, and that was answered and then elaborated on very well. So no questions.
Awesome. Okay, no, great. Jaden, I'll ask you again. Do you have something more to share? If not, we'll take it to the next Twitter space. Thank you so much for joining. It was a blast. Also, Mo, thanks for joining. Sorry.
Question, Jaden. Do you still have miners? I know the GPUs are not that important now because we moved proof of stake. How much are you willing to sell your GPUs right now?
I have actually, this opens something else, but I have a theory, or not theory, a way of doing business, which is never to sell any good assets. So it's a one-way thing for me. So we can
basically.
We'd love you to have those tokens. We'd love you to have them. We'll catch up on that.
The Art of the Horde, and then like a dragon on the cover. What do you think? Next business book.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right, love it. Thank you so much, Amir. Thank you so much, Ashley. Jaden, write a book, please. Your insights are very good. Like really, like tweet, write a book, whatever you get those out. Because I mean, my mind was blown a couple times. I'm not like a pothead or anything, but I wish I had a blunt. I'll just say that because it was like ridiculously insightful, deep. I don't want to like denigrate like your concept, like mentioning drugs, but I just say that because it was like instead of like crypto anarchy, it was like more like crypto like hippie vibes, going on. So love it so much.
Content time, Mo.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So Jaden, thank you so much for coming on, and very very nice to meet you.
Check out the Twitter of Jake. I have one quote which was really cool. We basically just are on the world to exchange time for emotions. That's something which stuck to my mind among those many other things. Jaden, sorry, didn't want to cut you off.
Oh no, it's just my phone doing that. But yeah, no worries. And I hear you, Mo. But like, you can relate to this. Being in two industries, it's just like such a time crush. But one day I'll find the right ghostwriters and then write an entire series.
Sounds awesome.
Just get a AI transcription service, and just record everything you're doing. Like you're talking about, getting a new robo vacuum. Put that in the books. I'm sure you'll make an awesome spin on it, anyways. Because every time you had an insight, it was always really really cool. So yeah, I'd say go for it. Just do a vlog. 24/7 vlog. Kind of like day in day out. I think that would be not a bad career move from crypto VC tech kind of like YouTube, Twitch streaming.
Jaden is already a speaker all over the world, so yeah.
Okay, I see it.
Yeah. So between speaking in the space industry and speaking in blockchain, it's actually my way of disseminating some of the macro and deeper historical connections that people may not be thinking of or missing in the rush to bring new things to the table. So that is the role I'm serving at the moment. But yeah, I mean, we're all racing towards a future that's may not be as well defined as we like, but I think I'm hopeful. I'm positive. I think we have always found a way, and this time period will be no different, although the challenges are quite substantial this time around, as well as the stakes.
You heard it here first, folks. We're going to save the world, and aerospace engineers do know how to talk. So, yeah.
Definitely. You've shown us that.
Stereotypes and saving the world.
Are there any questions? If not, then I would say let's come slowly to an end. It was a party as promised. It was so much fun. It's the longest Twitter space we had. So Jaden, thanks a lot for this awesome jam. I'm super energized. And yeah, look forward hustling and working on Menthol.
Awesome, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, everybody, and everybody listening as well. Ashley, thank you as well for setting this up, and Amir for hosting. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. Have a great day, guys and ladies. Bye bye.